Hi everyone, we're here at the Burj Al Arab, the famous iconic hotel here in Dubai, and we're here at the first Gulf Concours, and I'm here with Catherine Gunn, who's the curator of these cars. Tell us a little bit about this event.
Well, as you mentioned, it is the first concours event to be held here in Dubai. There are some other concours events here in the Gulf. There's one in Qatar and there's one in Kuwait, but this is the first one to be in Dubai. So we're really excited and grateful to the Burj for having us here. What we've done differently, I think, from other events is bring together classic cars and modern bespoke. And the idea behind that was, excuse me, to bring together the young culture and the older collectors. So there is a huge collection of cars here, old classics. There's also a huge culture of modern
So something
bespokes.
for everyone, sort of thing.
So bring everybody together, and hopefully the young guys can appreciate the older guys, and the older guys can maybe appreciate the younger.
How many cars do we have here at this event?
Roughly 42 cars, and then some additional sponsor cars.
Right.
But all in all, about 50 cars.
And are these cars, have they all been flown in for this show, or are they from around the region, or?
There are a lot of cars that are here from the region, from Bahrain, from Dubai. There are some from Saudi collectors. There are some really special cars that have been flown in. This car wasn't flown in, but it's a special car. It's in from Bahrain.
We're looking at this beautiful Citroen DS2 Cabriolet, which is absolutely gorgeous. This thing is wonderful. Is this one of your highlights for you? What's your personal favorite?
I love this car.
Then don't be too diplomatic. You have to
Okay.
say, go on, tell us your pick. This one? Yeah.
I love the car. But you know, there are so many special cars here. And when you asked about cars being flown in, there are 4 highly collectible Ferraris. And the most famous would be the 250 GTO, which is worth roughly $50 million.
Wow.
And then coming down to the lower, cheaper ones, if you add in the other 3, they add up to about $90 million collectively.
So is the GTO the most valuable car here then?
It is, yeah, it is. But we also have a really interesting car built in the region, which is the Lycan.
Yeah.
It's built in the UAE. It made famous in the Fast and Furious movie.
That's right.
It drove out of the Etihad
Oh
Tower.
yeah, it can jump buildings, that thing, yeah.
It's got,
It's a superhero car, that
diamonds
is.
in the headlights, which of course everybody needs.
That's where the superpower comes from.
Yeah.
From the diamonds, that's what it is, yeah.
So, you know, a lot of really special cars
This
here.
is great. So how many days is this event on?
Today's the press day,
Yeah.
and tomorrow and Saturday are the actual event days.
And I understand this is an invitation-only event. Is there any way that if people want to see it now, then this is it?
This is it.
Oh, okay, right.
Unfortunately.
But hopefully this will be an annual thing now.
We intend to have it year over year and just improve on it year over year. But yes, it's an invitation-only event, and fortunately and unfortunately, we are really at our maximum capacity for the.
Well, on this occasion, but we hope it grows and gets better, and we get a chance to see more and more of this. Thank you so much, Catherine, for giving us this quick introduction to the show. We're going to go have a look at some of these Ferraris and things now. Yeah?
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
I see you're admiring the McLaren M1B Can-Am 1966. You know, it's a beautiful looking thing, but I really wish I had somebody here to tell me a little bit more about it. And it just so happens, Damien Reed is here.
Number 5. Look at this.
So Damien Reed, you're handling the media for this thing. You're a well-known automotive journalist, former editor of Autocar Middle East, and you're a bit of a motorsports fan and nutter and
Big
encyclopedia.
Well,
you should be able to tell me about this thing.
This is amazing. I can't believe it's actually here. This thing, I don't know what it's worth, but this is the...
I imagine quite a bit.
It is quite a bit, yeah. This is the very first Can-Am car built by McLaren, built by Bruce McLaren himself, and it was actually driven by him. 1966 was built. The Can-Am series started in 1967. Can-Am series, Canadian-American sports cars. No rules. Basically, had covers over the guards and a spare seat, and that's it.
This is
Do
just
whatever
a
you
body
want.
draped over a chassis and an engine, really.
I mean, they were
isn't it?
running, by the end of it, they were running 7-litre V8s. Massive. This one, smaller engine, about 4.5-litre, I think, V8. Don't quote me on that. But anyway.
So it's already on film.
It's already there. So with this car, Bruce McLaren qualified this car in pole position and led the first lap of the very first Can-Am race. So that on its own means that this is an incredibly valuable and significant car in the history of motor racing. It's got the gurney flap, the gurney wing, which was developed by Dan Gurney. So it's another thing that was
just to
North American
reiterate
racing.
to everyone, this is the real thing. We're not looking at a replica here. This is the car.
This is the very car that McLaren obviously made the newer version, or the car that pays homage to it, that's based on the 650 that we've seen before. So this is the actual thing. It ran at Goodwood this year at the Festival of Speed. an incredibly significant car in the history
What
of
an amazing
of motor
opportunity
racing.
to see this thing in the metal right here in Dubai underneath the,
I love it.
the
I mean,
Burj Al Arab, isn't it? Incredible.
Bruce McLaren had the likes. He had Denny Holm racing it for him. He had Chris Amon racing for him, and Jackie Stewart used to race not for McLaren, but used to race in Can-Am racing. Then Porsche came in, obviously, with their Can-Am cars, and eventually killed the series because they became 8.9 litre flat 12 engines, just ridiculously high horsepower at a time when the petrol oil crisis hit in the late 70s, and that kind of brought Can-Am racing to a
amazing. I
close.
mean, just looking at the interior of this is about as raw as it gets, isn't it? I mean, it's just, look at that, that's barely even seats.
Completely, yeah, because there was no real weight limits. You could, as long as you could make it as light as possible, you could squeeze 2 seats in there. There's no way I could fit in that spare seat, not in a million years. And it had to be a closed bodywork. Otherwise, knock yourself out, go for it. And if you hear these things run, unfortunately we won't. If you hear these things run, wow.
That's something. I wish we could, but that's another day. This has been brought by McLaren. Here it's the McLaren tent here. There are a few sponsors here, but there's also some great cars over there. Let's go and have a look at some more stuff over there.
Let's check it out.
There are some absolute local legends as well here, because this is Sharjah Classic Plate number 1. Look at this. 1934 Rolls-Royce Phantom 2. There are some modern Rolls-Royces just behind us over there as well, but I am more interested in, and you can see a review of those on our website, but I am more interested in these Ferraris over here. And this one has a very important VIP previous owner, right?
This one, absolutely. This is a one-of-one car. If you see the bodywork, you'll never see this anywhere else. It was done by Farina, and it was actually created for Hollywood star Ingrid Bergman, and it's done in Grille Bergman.
That's her colour.
That's the colour of the car. It's a one-off body, and she never collected the car. So it's never been delivered.
0 miles.
It's
0 mile.
zero miles. But it's absolutely outstanding. It's one of the world's most collectible cars. This car belongs to Tallycrest at the moment. 1954 Ferrari 250 GT Competizione. So quite a different body to what you've seen on the, if you call them regular 250 GTs, but it is very much,
Where does this car live now? Because look at that number plate.
I think this car lives in the UK.
Yeah, because that looks like a classic UK plate with the white on the black. Yeah,
but it's just beautiful. I mean, there's not a whole lot of bright work on it. There's no bumpers. There's no surround around the headlights. So it's got that sort of competition look about it. It's got the leather bonnet straps with the stainless bonnet clips. So, for a car that's built for Hollywood, it's showing a bit of competition as well, which is quite nice.
So in addition to this amazing vehicle here with such provenance, we have got the most expensive car here, and potentially one of the most expensive cars in the world.
Amazing.
The Ferrari 250 GTO 1962 in this beautiful blue color. This is unbelievable. This is to be in the presence of royalty right here. This is unbelievable to be this close to an actual, not a replica, an actual GTO.
No. This is the real thing. 250 GTO. So 1962. They only made don't quote me on the numbers, but we're talking, in the 50s or 60s. This car should be going for about $60 million thereabouts, roughly.
$60 million.
It is for
right
sale,
there.
and it's amazing. It's not ripped off. It's
right
there,
there,
ready to go.
The window's open,
but
the keys are in it. No,
it's just
we wouldn't get very far.
Most of them are red. This one's in the blue colour. You've got the Belgian car that's in blue.
Is that the American racing blue?
This is the American racing colour blue. In fact, it's registered in the District of Columbia. So this could be an original American delivered car with the white stripe, which was the American colours at the time. There was the Belgian car that's running at the moment. Sterling Moss ran a green car, like a light coloured green car. So it's the original factory colours, and of course the colours represented the country they represented.
It's absolutely beautiful. I mean, look at the details on this thing. We've got covers for the vents here. We've got the cut. I think that's the cut-off button right there. Must be.
I believe,
Yeah, it's the cut-off button right there. Yeah. Gorgeous interior, so beautifully presented here with the open gated gearbox, and we've got racing. We've got race monitors inside as well. Look at that. So this thing gets used.
It's got the time. Yeah, it's got the timing gear for historic rallies, and it's part of the famous North American racing team, the NART team. They had their own separate deal with Enzo Ferrari because America is a very big market. California, West Coast, huge market. So the NART guys could actually design their own cars and go back to Enzo, and there are actually NART designed cars that don't exist anywhere else. So that in itself is another badge on it that you can carry.
That's amazing.
It's just
seeing this car here is just unbelievable. It's incredible. What a joy and a privilege to be able to see this car here. But you told me there's an Australian Ferrari over there.
There is indeed.
Let's go and see that.
There's one Australian car.
So this one's actually red. We've actually found a classic red Ferrari, which is the traditional colours. Yeah. So what is this? Is it the Ferrari 275 GTB Competition 1965? And you say this has got an Australian heritage.
Very strong Australian heritage. In fact, this is the same car that the Bergman car is, but with the more traditional body shape on it. This car was actually built for. It was the spare Le Mans car to race in the Le Mans 24. Hence why it's the only 275 GTB with these lights underneath the lights here.
So this is raced.
So this
is
no,
raced.
it didn't.
It
was a spare car they never needed.
Right.
It's actually still got the fuel cell in the back behind where the rear seat should be.
Right. Actually, I think I can see it. It's
under
got
the
a plastic perspex cover. Yeah.
Exactly. So this was built as a spare car, and it was built for Paddy McNally, who was the Irishman who's the businessman with Bernie Ecclestone. He owns All Sport International now, that runs all the stuff in Formula 1 with Bernie. Paddy raced with this for a while. He sold it to a guy called Alan Mann, who raced it in the UK. Alan then sold it on to Frank Gardner, an Australian who was racing in Europe in sports cars for quite a long time. There's the fuel cell. And then Frank Gardner took it with him back to Australia and used it actually as a road car for quite some time. So this car, I remember seeing this car at going to the Grand Prix in Adelaide and Melbourne.
Wow.
Seeing this car driving around.
So basically
the streets.
just touring in it.
Beautiful.
Wow, this is amazing.
And it's been in Australia ever since then. So it's probably been there for about 25, 30 years in Australia. Factory right-hand drive, because it was sold to Paddy in the UK first.
Yeah.
Very rare car, being factory right-hand drive, being the GTB competition with those lights, and it does have a competition history. It's amazing.
What do you think this would be worth if you were to guesstimate?
Who knows? I mean, we're all talking in the millions,
yeah.
Of course. But it's so hard to tell because it's such a bespoke car, such a one-off car.
But that's true about a lot of Ferraris, though, isn't it? Because
Yes.
a lot of them were bespoke. It's like the Ingrid Bergman colour over there. You know, you had cars that were done in a specific style for a specific purpose, even. You know, in many cases.
Yeah. And the great thing is, this one hasn't been, even though it's been raced, it hasn't been brutalised. It's pretty much as it is from the showroom. I mean, these giveaway, they're the big telltales. Is the giveaway underneath the lights is those lights, and it doesn't have the chrome overriders that you get here with the other cars.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So it's and that's how you can tell if you go back to the history books and see this car online and see it on file. That's how you can tell this specific car. So massive honour and prestige to have this car.
Can't let you go without talking about the Villeneuve car.
Oh man.
I mean, that is just motor racing history. That's we should just be bowing down in front of this.
This is just gorgeous, isn't
it?
So
we should just be like, we're not worthy. We should just be doing that, because that's just. Is that the one you got sideways? That's the one like you got that footage of him going sideways in it.
Yeah, with Rennie Arnoux. I'm not sure it's the same car or not, but it's the same era. So. Right from the peak of the turbo era, so the 1.5 litre V6 twin turbo in this thing, and it's almost a flat engine. It's almost a 180 degree V on it. So it's so down low. That's why, there's not much bodywork. It's sitting right down low.
Yeah, that's right.
But incredible horsepower. This is the era when they're putting out 900, 1200 horsepower in qualifying trim. Not quite sure this specific car what this was putting out, but that was kind of what they were looking at.
And so little aero compared today. I mean, literally, it's just so clean, isn't it? It's just absolutely clean, very, very smooth, very light, but it's got such a presence about it as well, isn't it?
And you look also at the vulnerabilities of the driver sitting in that cockpit. I mean, he's sitting there, which means his feet are
his feet are down here,
in front of the front axle.
That's right, yeah.
So you can see why it was a really dangerous era of driving. We had the big accidents with Martin Donnelly and Johnny Herbert at the time.
Yeah.
So, who had leg injuries as a result of that. Now, of course, the driver's the driver's feet are behind the front axle.
Way behind,
on as a safety requirement on modern Formula 1 cars. But just a delightful car, and these are the things that literally spit flames when they come out of the pipes.
And this thing lives here, doesn't it?
I believe so.
As far as I know, this one actually lives here.
This is part of the GP Extreme guys.
The GP Extreme guys who are running some of the old F1 cars, such as the Arrows and the Jordans, right?
James Hunt's
McLaren,
so Jordan Grover's running that in the historics over in Europe. And then this is here as well. So really good to see.
So hopefully we'll get a chance to see it running one day.
I would do anything to see this thing run.
That would be amazing. Thank you so much, Damien.
Pleasure, as always.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, enjoy yourselves.
So guys, we'll just quickly do a quick walk through the rest of the show and just show you what else it's got. There's a Veyron over there, it's a blue one. I've seen loads of those. You see those on Jumeirah Beach Road, no big deal. This thing is quite beautiful here. Check it out. This is a 1962 Corvette with Hankook tires.
Hankook.
He's getting very excited about the Hankook tires. There's an Aventador with some stuff on it. Anyway,
it is like a Star Wars thing, actually.
This I like over here. Look at this. Check this out. The Zagato Porsche Speedster. And we've seen this before. We've seen this at the Emirates Classic Car Festival. It's a 1958 Porsche 356 1600 Zagato Speedster is what it says. But I love the little fins on the back of this thing. That's like a fusion of European and American styles, but it's really gorgeous, that thing. I do like that. We've got the Dragon Racing Ferraris over here. We've already looked at those, but have a look at this over here. This is a genuine. We talk about Cobras all the time. We see Cobras all the time, but this is a genuine 64 Shelby Cobra. And one of the ways you can tell that, as Damien was pointing out earlier, the exhaust pipes. This has got the smaller exhaust pipes because a lot of people feel like they need to put the big chrome ones on them when they do the replicas, but this has got the original ones. So there you go. That thing is absolutely gorgeous. That's the car that will kill you if you don't treat it with respect. We've looked at the Joel Villeneuve car. We've got the Ferrari F50 here. Not one of my favorites, honestly, to be honest. I think for me it was F40, it was the 288 GTO, and then it was the F40, and anything after that was like, okay. LaFerrari maybe, but that's about it. Bentley GTR race car there, GTR race car there. Road legal, road car really. We've got a lot of Bentleys there, Mulsannes. We've got the blower, and this thing is amazing over here.
This isn't, sorry, wrong one.
This one, not this one, this one. This one is a custom job, it looks like. But look at this. This is one of the Bentley blowers. This is one of the supercharged Bentleys that went racing in the 1930s with the Bentley boys who were all sort of ex-fighter pilots and people like that. And quite kooky and mad. And they decided to put a supercharger on the front of it, which actually W.O. Bentley didn't want to do. He was like, ain't no replacement for displacement. They said, no, let's put a supercharger on it. So that's what they did. This is a 4.5 litre supercharged. It's a 1930 model, and it is absolutely sensational. Very, very nice to see that here. I have ridden in one of those. I've actually driven one of those, but you're not supposed to say that to anyone. Some more Bentleys here. Oh look, this is the SUV thingy right over there, that one. We'll get around to reviewing that someday if we can be bothered. Over here, we've got, oh look, it's got all this flaps up. This
Very
one.
excited.
It's got all this flaps up. It's really, really excited, this one. This, of course, is a car that can jump buildings. It's got superpowers. This is the one we were talking about earlier. And yeah, it's here. Anyway, so we've seen that. We've seen it in the movie. We've seen that. Come on. We've got lots more to see. So let's move on. We've got the Rolls Royce here. Somebody's over there just asking. Is this the one from the Fast and Furious? Yes, it is. We've got the Phantom drophead coupes. We reviewed those again, so we've seen those, and we've said, oh look at that. We've got SLR McLaren over there, Mercedes McLaren. There's two of them there. A 1958 Mercedes over here, along with the Mercedes stand. So some of these cars are grouped into categories. So you can see behind the manufacturers have got a little display, and then they've brought some classics. This is really quite a beautiful little thing. Look at this one over there. This is a 1958 Mercedes-Benz 220S ponton. Very pretty car. Very pretty car.
Pontoon, isn't it? Not a pontoon style fenders.
Pontoon style fenders. But just very, I mean, quite petite actually. But look at the interior. I don't know if you can make it out, but how luxurious is that, and how spacious. A very efficient use of space. The Citroen I absolutely adore. We were talking about that earlier, right at the beginning. We were standing in front of that car, but very privileged to see that. That is a gorgeous, gorgeous thing. Two types of roofs. Of course, it's got the canvas roof and it's got the hard top as well. But the most complicated suspension on the planet. That's what that car is. Over here we've got McLaren. We talked about the McLaren, this one here first, but we've also got the 650S, the 570S over there, and over here we've got Aston Martin. Aston Martin have brought the Lagonda, which of course is a car that was recently introduced and actually specifically designed for our market. So this is it, but we haven't driven the car yet. So this is a 2015 Lagonda. This is not the original Lagonda, which was one of my favorite designs. So very, very squared off, very veggie shape. Very 70s, very paperfold. I love that car, it's fantastic. In fact, there was a thing here in the Middle East for a while where they were putting the front end of those old Lagondas onto Mercedes-Benz S-Classes. I saw quite a few of those back in the day, in the 80s I saw those, it was quite amazing. Aston Martin, DB6 here.
Zagato. Oh, sorry, sorry, not Zagato, it's Mark 2. It's Mark 2, my apologies.
Absolutely beautiful interior. But, and also here is the new DB11.
Twin turbo V12.
I've got to say, that is actually a pretty good looking car. I like the floating roof thing that they've done on this.
My son,
you know, with the black separator that separates the top part of the roof with the main body. But Aston Martin make beautiful cars. That is not one of their issues, and they've just taken the beauty ranking to an even higher level because that thing is absolutely gorgeous. I am quite liking that. I want to get my hands on that soon one day. We have got a Pagani as well. I should just briefly touch on the fact that there's a Dodge here. And looks like a real custom job, this one. Dodge Charger SRT. What do we know about this car? Not a lot really, it's a 2012 SRT, but it's got a nice custom job with carbon fiber bonnet and all the rest of it. But take a look at this. This is actually one of my wife's favorite cars. Pagani Zonda.
Is that all you can say about it? Pagani Zonda.
I'm lost for words, honestly, because I actually do think it's stunning. And
it's got gold wheels too.
It's got gold wheels, a bit like your car.
Yeah.
But there's so much detail on this car. This car is an art form. It's not just about, oh, it's the fastest or whatever. It's just every little, look at the wing mirrors. Look at how they've been designed. Look at the delicacy with which that has been designed and attached. Look at the interior. The interior, you want to get into that thing and imagine that you're in a spaceship. You could be in Guardians of the Galaxy sitting in that cockpit right there. That's incredible. So anyway, it is a beautiful thing. I wouldn't quite call that classic, but it probably will be at some point in the not too distant future. So two other classics, maybe three classics. We've got beautiful Jaguar over here. And along with the Jaguar, the seminal supercar, the original supercar, the Lamborghini Miura right there. 1971 there, beautiful blue. Unfortunately, this one doesn't have the eyelashes, because I like my Miuras with the eyelashes. You know, when I buy a Miura, I like them with the eyelashes, but this one hasn't got the eyelashes, but still absolutely gorgeous. And of course, no concourse, no classic car event would be complete without a Mercedes SL there, the Gullwing, the famous Gullwing thing. So that's the event. There's of course there's a Ferrari and a Porsche 918 here. And if we had a McLaren P1, we would have that.
We'd have a group test.
We'd have that group test, wouldn't we? We'd be able to do that. That'd be an exclusive, but that ain't happening. So there you go. There is the show. It's a wonderful place to come and hang out if you've got an invite, because apparently it's invite only. So hopefully the show next year will be bigger, better, and it'll be a bit more open for people. Hope you enjoyed that. Stay in touch with stuff we do. Follow us on all of the social media, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Just search for Motoring Middle East, and of course on YouTube as well. And if you're on YouTube, please do subscribe, like, share, all the rest of it. Thanks so much for watching. Until the next one.